What you'll see on this page, on several of these pages, are what I call sociometrics, which are processes that I have created that are psychoeducational. They both teach and heal. When I started doing psychodrama for conferences and doing a lot of training nationally, the response was often, psychodrama is great, but I don't have the training to do it tomorrow. I don't have the training to go back and do it even this year. So what can you give me that I could do? And Sociometrics was my response to that. In our field, in the addictions field, we use psychoeducation. We give a lot of information to clients, which I think is very valuable and respectful. We just need to integrate it with healing. So Sociometrics are based on the theoretical principles of sociometry developed by J.L. Moreno alongside psychodrama, but they are my own unique integration of research with the extended sociometry, because the sociometric devices given by Moreno, the spectrogram, locograms, are limited and too limited for my purposes in the addictions field. We need processes that can include more people and that can facilitate more choices and that can allow for repeated choosing again, and integrate the learning material so that the effect of, for example, the symptom locogram is when you have a room with symptoms all over the floor, rather than have 4 choices as with the locogram, you have perhaps 20 choices. And you ask criterion questions like, what symptom do you identify with? Walk over to that and share what you identify and how it manifests in your life. That creates, if you hear several people doing it in a group, little small case studies of how symptoms manifest in people's lives. That is much less dry and more immediately useful than putting on a chalkboard several symptoms. It also heals at the same time. And the trauma way it heals is by, creating less isolation, opening up and sharing, teaching the skills of emotional literacy, finding words to describe the feelings that are getting safely triggered through this process, by creating a relational connection, and training people to put their feelings into words, share them, and listen as other people share theirs, while at the same time learning about the symptoms. Now, there can be any kind of subject on the floor. One that's very interesting is the anger floor check. How do we manifest anger, right? I mean, in many ways, most people aren't aware that cynicism, negativity, stonewalling are also manifestations of passive aggression of anger. So if you put those symptoms all over a floor and ask people to go to them, rage, how it manifests becomes not only educational but healing. And the interaction among people takes on almost a playful quality so that it feels game-like and you don't feel like you're being, judged, and it's autonomous. You're doing the choosing. You're doing the next choice. You're doing the next choice. So it's resilience building because you're taking a hold of your own story. And in trauma, we have this notion that we can find the narrative and create a narrative. But my experience with trauma is that we need to experience our story before we can talk about it. We need, in some ways, to just bump into our story, to have it come to us through identification, through the many ways in which we learn more about who we are. So sociometrics are psychoeducational. They're discrete processes. They require less training than psychodrama, and they're very well suited to treatment facilities.